Right, good evening. Time for another live stream. Yes, you might have noticed that I changed the live stream time by 15 minutes. I meant to do it for 7:30 at the start, and then so I wasn't ready for 7:15, so I just delayed it 15 minutes. Hopefully that's okay. Good evening, everyone that is joining us. A quick word before we start is that Tronxy, where's the... provided me this printer to do said video, so I didn't pay for it. Just so you know where we're at. But they've not like paid me to do anything like positive or all this daft stuff. They've just given me the printer. So yeah, been a little while since we've done a live stream actually, hasn't it? The Voron you can see behind me is not printing out at the moment, but has been printing. There's other stuff here too. I don't think. I just I've got a few things around that I can't show on camera, so I just wanted to make sure that they weren't actually behind me. But yeah, so yeah, today we're going to just take a look at this, unbox it, set it up, do the first print. I have already opened it, but I've not actually like done anything. That's pretty much the plan. So maybe we wait another 60 seconds. We're not doing a giveaway today, just FYI, for anyone sticking around hoping for that kind of thing. Not today, maybe another time. We do have other things coming up as well. Oh, by the way, while we're here, you might have noticed I did an RGB guide, so you can get RGBs, lights, near pixels. These are the Daybreak LEDs that I created based on the Voron Daylight on a Stick design, but these are on my shop, vector3d.co.uk. So you can go and find those if you want those. And the vertical linear motion press, I guess this is kind of a sponsored segment, but it doesn't count sponsored because it's my stuff. Promotional segment for my own things. So this is the vertical linear motion press as well. This is now a kit, and you can get the STLs if you just want the STLs. So you can either get like full kit, hardware, printed parts, whatever you like, as well as STLs if you just want that. So this is for holding a soldering iron. Holding a soldering iron. Oh, don't stick your finger in it. And allows you to do threaded inserts nice and straight every single time. So yes, that's all that. We've hit half past, so let's get on with the printer. I don't know if I put a link below for the channel. I think it was the camera. I've not tried anything else. It's been operating fine. So for those that didn't know, I had some weird, what was it, like a shutdown? It was like crashing mid-print, just stopping mid-print, like half shutting down, but not like a thermal runaway kind of thing. UK cable. And it was basically just the camera was drawing this huge amount of power that basically caused the Raspberry Pi to just stop working. We've got cable, screwdriver, some zip ties, looks like a handle, some Allen keys, spanners, kind of organisy stuff. A tiny bit of PLA, so if this is your first printer, you've got something to try something. Not very much. Oh, funny bone. Oh dear. You've got some filament to try something, but probably won't get you very far. Oh. Oh. What probe did you put on your V2? Was it the red one, which is super melty? We've got an SD card, well, micro SD card with a USB card reader. This looks like a spool holder. Aha, this is, oh, there's no like place to put your finger into this. That's daft. So this is the PI sheet. So we've got adhesive on the back, spring steel. I mean, I don't know if it's spring steel. I would think it is. It's at least bendy. The packaging is quite reasonable. You can see like so. So it's this same like foamy stuff that gets used on most 3D printers nowadays. One thing I'll cover in a second is a bit more about the specifications of the machine. Just want to get it out of the box so I can get the box out of the way. Oh, it's all joined together, which is not super convenient. I guess more convenient for assembly, or lack thereof, but not for getting it out the box. Okay, that looks like everything. Oof. Okie dokie. Find somewhere. Right. That is said printer. So, just reading off the website, printing size is 180mm cubed. It says full metal OSG 15 speed double core roller guide rail and pulley. I think that's the like linear rail style stuff. Low noise motherboard, TMC 2209 drivers, STM32 chip. 8 language, control touchscreen, USB connection, resume printing, filament detection, removable glass plate or flexible PEI. Doesn't say much more than that. So we can find out anything else that it might have or do. So I've just noticed the same thing. Yes, it is a 3D printed fan duct. I don't know why. I guess it's easier and cheaper to 3D print them than it is to like injection mold them. That doesn't seem to work. So we'll probably do the same kind of thing we normally do, where we take the printer all apart first and then put it together. Is there another screw for the fan duct? Oh, I think it's also one of the fan screws. So 3D printed fan duct. It's just like a solid block with a hole through it. Seems pretty reasonable. I wouldn't say that's a massive downside, as long as it's printed out of a reasonable material. Hopefully it's not PLA. So, this is annoying being tethered. So you have got all this kind of split cable ducted tubing stuff. There's some random zip ties on it. It's not particularly robust. It's a little bit thin and plasticky, but it does kind of protect the cables. It can be a bit of a pain for dealing with in the long run if you want to like add and remove things, and it can be a bit sharp on the edges as well, but it does protect the cables reasonably well. Looks like we've got pretty standard end stops. So Z-axis has got V-slot wheels. X-axis here has got these weird steel rollers. I've seen them on a printer before. I'm not sure why they've done it different on one axis than the other, but that's what I've done. It's got the same on the bed as well. I do want to have a bit of a closer look actually at the hot end, because I'd like to get an indication of what sort of printing speeds we might be able to achieve. I think we actually can just take off this fan, and that'll give us a better look at the hot end. Okay, interesting, not great. Okay, so if we look here, oh, you can see that was built. So this is obviously a heated block. This is your heater down here, and this is your little thermistor next to it. And then you've got this being the filament path. Filament's obviously coming in from here. This looks a bit damaged. Tiny bit of tube. I'm not sure why that was disconnected. I would assume that you'd want to go into there. Okay, so this obviously gets hot. This conducts thermal energy up through this heat break area to an area which needs to be cooled. If your PLA filament is coming down into here, and this block here is more than 50 degrees Celsius, or somewhere around 50 degrees Celsius, that filament will expand and just get jammed in this area before it even gets down here. I'm going to take off this and have a quick look in here. I imagine this is going to be a PTFE lined hot end. They've used the words all metal on the, oh, it's got on some weird size. It's not this size, is it? No. It is direct drive. So you've got a filament sensor over here, then you've got your feed tube. Everyone calls it reverse Bowden, that's just a terrible name. It's a feed tube coming from here through the very standard, it's just an end-stop switch filament sensor, through here to your single-sided drive gear with your idler tension, which you can't adjust. You don't necessarily want to adjust idler tension. It's actually nice to have it consistent. It is my preferred to have it repeatable and always be the same. The downside is, the downside of having it consistent is that you don't know if they've got it right, if it's too much or too little. You can't really adjust it. Yeah, so there's your PTFE lining. So those screws are just holding this into place. It's not a particularly fancy hot end. It's also covered in grease for some reason. I'm not expecting particularly great performance. You're going to be limited to temperatures. Before I say that, I mean, judging by the size of this break here, it's going to be, I want to actually get this out, which won't be very easy. So one of these fit the hot end. It might not actually be PTFE lined, but it looks like it is. But before I go and say too much, I'm going to check. So this is probably a kind of hot end you want to actually hot tighten. So that you can see there, I mean this for some reason doesn't even untwist, so I don't know what's going on there. But you can see PTFE right down in there that comes to the back of the nozzle and it's got some grey filament gunk in it. This looks like it's had problems already, it's not even been used yet. Yeah. So they've obviously done some sort of validation. But you can see here, around the top of the nozzle, you can see filament, which the PTFE tube from the PTFE lined part is obviously coming down like this. But when these are not touching, you get the filament come into this gap. The problem with that is that it's going to also be molten because of the temperature of everything around here, and it will basically act as this weird turbulence-inducing, high-force, problematic area within the hot zone. You need that PTFE tube to touch the nozzle, and because it doesn't come from here, there's like obviously this in the way. You need to push this in, but this is going to be limited by this, so it's just a very, there you go. If I start to peel it up a bit, you can see maybe, I'm not sure how much compression is going to absolutely destroy this, but you can see that small piece of plastic that's showing that those two are not meeting. So not a very good design for the hot end. Could probably be improved by having a slightly longer piece of PTFE tube here, because what is currently there is not long enough. There's also nothing to grab on this. Oh, there we go, that's gone a bit further in. Here we go. Okay. We're going to be a little bit damaged on this hot end before it's actually been used, but there you go. Oh. I wish Tronxy warranty support was worth anything. Unfortunately, they don't honour the warranty, but will sell you the parts that came broke. That's not great. I've not actually owned, I don't think, a Tronxy printer before. I don't think. So I don't have experience with which to, you know, I don't have any experience. But this is already looking not optimistic in terms of performance. The flow rate's certainly not going to be super high, because it's not a very high performance design. There's nothing to stop really that PTFE tube backing out. Tiny grub screws, so annoying. Jesus. So in terms of materials, you should be fine with PLA. PTFE lined hot ends actually tend to do quite well with PLA. But some PETGs you might have problem with, and ABS is pretty much a no-go. Oh, that grub screw is not working properly. That hole's a bit damaged. Not great. Okay, what we seem to be in. So that's hot end and extruder. Extruder's nothing particularly special, and the gear teeth don't look very sharp at all. I'm not very confident in the ability of that. It looks like they've actually used a gear rather than something with teeth designed for extrusion, because those teeth are basically rounded. Not good, not good, not good. I've lost the, what does I do with this? So we've not even got to the printing yet, and I'm already a little bit disappointed. So that's that, that's that, that's that. How about the V-slot wheel adjustment? That looks a little bit tight. No, it's not too bad actually. These, I don't know if you can adjust much, if at all. It's possible you can, but I don't know how. They might have another sort of eccentric part of them. So that's that. Let's have a look in this box here. Annoyingly connected to this carriage. In terms of pricing for this machine, it's probably obviously going to vary a little bit from one place to the next, but this is the PEI version. At the moment on their Tronxy website, it's around £170. It actually says £160, £169.507. So £169 and 50.7 pence. Sure. This is a lot of screws to hold the base on. Over there. Okay, that's reasonably easy to access. Hopefully I can show you this reasonably well. It's a bit easier than the bigger printers. Let's take this fan off. Not that. So let's use a pointer thing. Power supply is a Chengliang. It's not a particularly well-known brand power supply. It's not a Meanwell or anything like that. 240 volts, 24 volt power supply. Good that it's 24 volts. That is, try to get as much as possible torque-wise out of the motors. The mains wiring, is it all stable? That seems decent. Plugs are a little bit on. They seem pretty good. It does actually switch the live and the neutral, which is nice. I'd like to see the correct colouring for the mains wiring. We've got blue for the earth. It's just wrong. What the feck is going on there? Oh no, that's kind of okay-ish. I just noticed there's some copper. You're never going to see this, I don't think, because it's way too small. Some copper sticking out here. They've just cut the strands a little bit too long. Well, cut the sleeve off a little bit too far down. So the copper sticks out the end. It's not very good because if it sticks out too far and you don't deal with it, then it can prevent this screw terminal from clamping down properly, which results in a poor connection, which results in thermal energy build up, heat, fire, such and such and such. Yeah, I'd like to see blue, green, blue, brown, and then green, yellow wiring for that. Gauge of the wiring seems reasonable, but they've gone and used blooming tinned wires by the looks of it here. Let's just grab one of those out. The 12 volt wiring, I typically prefer to see bootlace ferrules. Yeah, tinned wires, not good. They should be bootlace ferrules. They've put heatsink on a MOSFET, which is a bit interesting, but seems to work. They've got a weird hot end connection in the middle of the board. It looks bent probably from your angle, just because these screw terminals are normally 90 degrees, but this one's 45. Again, they've tinned the wires, which is not good. Bootlace ferrules, please. You got Y motor, Z motor, Z2 motor, which has just got, what the actual F? It's got gunk in, and they've put jumpers. Why is there jumpers on the... What the... I'd say those are unnecessary. The chip is STM32F4. Oh, da-da-da-da-da. The rest of it was written on here. They've stuck a label on top of it for some reason. Can we take that off? Oh. It's a magic disintegrating label. STM32F446ZET6. Should be... ends in a 6, I can get that much. Looks like there's an option for an E2 motor as well with some additional circuitry they've not added. So it looks like there's some capability for this board that they've just omitted for this design. What else have you got? You got option for 5V USB and I guess normal power connection from like the main power supply. You've got end stops. Looks like you've got an extra end stop down here as well. Not sure why you would need that, because we've got an extruder end stop, which is basically filament sensor, and then XYZ. You've got a ribbon cable out. It says down connect. Oh, that's going to be for the display, which is behind here. You've got a massive capacitor. You've got a buzzer. There's some little adjustments, potentiometer adjustments for the stepper drivers. Fan connection down here, which is just for this fan. Hopefully it's going to be reasonably quiet. It's completely unlabeled, so I don't know anything about that. I think that's about all there is to say. That's a motor right in the middle, that's for the bed. The wiring itself is, they've had some attempt at managing it, which is quite good. It's, I wouldn't say it's exactly premium, but it'll do. And if you wanted to add, I reckon there's probably some space in here. I don't know, I don't think there's going to be much else going on here, but if you want to add a board for doing clipper, I don't know if this board's going to be supported, probably not, I guess. Depends on the chip and whether that's supported. I don't know if it's possible to do clipper for this, but there is probably space for a Raspberry Pi in there if you wanted to add such a thing. Not sure how you power it, but there you go. So let's get this back in here. That fan over the top is going to be for cooling mainly the stepper drivers. I realise I've taken those jumpers off of the Z motor. Hopefully those are not actually needed. The good thing about a larger fan like this is they tend to be able to spin lower RPM in terms of, in order to get enough cooling, they can spin at a lower RPM to do the same job, which is generally quieter. Let's get the bottom panel back on. There's a little bit of cooling there, a little bit of an open base for the fan this side, and then some open space for the power supply, although the power supply doesn't have a fan of its own. What was the current? 240 watts, so maximum 10 amps ish. Okie dokie. So we do need to apply said magnet to said bed. So let's get some IPA and stuff for doing that. My little pot's almost empty, but that should be enough for this. Ooh, the bed's a bit sharp, so be careful when doing this, but you just want to peel off the plastic and then give it a good wipe with isopropyl alcohol. Ooh. Here's a really sharp bed, that's not great. So that's that. Now it'd be great to have a template so you can still access those screws, but we're not going to have that much luck. So once this is on, those bed screws will be basically inaccessible. That's on. Now that bed should stick nicely on here. We've got 4 wheels, 1 on each corner for adjusting the bed position. And stop down the back. It's getting a bit stuck part way for some reason. Don't need that. Right. Comes with an instruction manual, although you could probably work it out. Ooh, it comes with a paper ruler, instructions for doing the PEI magnetic sheet, which is what we've just covered, how to add it and how to use it. This is a special card for 3D printer adjustment platform, so for sticking your between the nozzle and the bed, so you adjust that print height, the first layer height, whatever you want to call it, Z offset. Then, how does it want me to assemble it? So it's all in colour, which is quite nice. Probably more than is necessary, but I guess quite nice. So 4 M4x6 screws. Screw the top into the base, and then some more M4x6 screws. And then you attach the handle, and then plug in the Z motor and attach the spool holder. Okay, I think we can work that out. So something like this. Oh, probably want to get the screws out of the bag before you balance the entire thing. 1 minute. Have you ever had a chance to play around the Kingroom KPS3? No, I haven't actually. I've seen I think I've seen other people use it, but I've not been offered one or seen one myself. Blooming alright. Can't even get the blooming screws out of the bag. I don't know why the bag is quite so small. I think they're all the same, which is good. Makes getting the right screws easier, especially for new builders. This tool that comes with it is pretty reasonable as well. It's better than basic Allen keys than you normally find. It does have Allen keys as well, but having something with a handle is nice for assembly. It's by no means a premium tool, don't get me wrong, but it is quite nice as cheap tools go. So that's those 5 screws down there. Get those all snug and plug in that motor. What else do we have to do? The handle on the top. Having a handle is actually quite nice as well. Moving small printers around is quite easy to do, provided they have somewhere to hold them, because they generally don't weigh very much, obviously as a result of being small. There you go, it's a pretty sturdy handle. The printer is actually quite heavy, it's quite a dense little box. The last thing is spool holder. Has everyone gone mute? Nobody said anything in chat for like multiple minutes. How is this supposed to attach? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make much sense. It looks like it's meant to go like this, but that's not going to make any sense. This makes the most sense. I bet this is not going to be wide enough for blooming cardboard spools though, is it? Where's the closest cardboard spool? It doesn't look wide enough, nothing like. Oh! It sort of is just, although it's really high friction. A few millimeters more would have been nice. That's all it needed. Come on, can't get the screw in. Yes. Okie dokie. So filament goes up in here. Some glue on the extrusion. It shouldn't be in the way. It's not in the way of the wheels or the thread, so I think I don't mind that too much. The lead screw looks nice and straight as well, which is not something you often see. And it has a bearing at the top to support it. Can cause problems if it's not straight, but it looks reasonably straight. It looks reasonably chunky actually for all the price. I'm pleasantly surprised by majority of the build. Hot end extruder, not so much. So, I think we do pretty much. Oh, we've got to turn it on. Let's see if it explodes. First print, I think I'm going to do a benchy because reasons. Because I've still not found anything better to do as a short print. Not sure what I think about this weird touchscreen. It's like a sticker as well. Let's see. So you can see there the screen coming on. Do 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 do. Success. Cali Dragon. Not seen that one. There's the Cali Cat, isn't it, and my Cali Flower. So let's have a look through this. System, status. Is this end stop status? Yep, that's responsive. So it doesn't really give you much info. Tronxy, STM32, Crux 1-UG, whatever that means. Marlin firmware. So have we got Marlin firmware? No sundries here. Oh, I think sundries is like your all and sundries is like the extras, accessories and paraphernalia. So just don't put anything there, I think is what it's saying. That is a cute little dragon, isn't it? We'll give that a go. We just got to remember to put the link in the description afterwards to make sure we give correct credit for said model. I think we'll... Do we want it muted? Oh yes, Marlin firmware. Let's see if we can find their Marlin firmware. Because if you're running Marlin, you must provide said firmware. Hang on a second. Let me... Oh no. Nice. Oh, there is a USB drive. I wonder if it's on there. Video material, slicing instructions, some models. Refueling video. And leveling. Okay. Easy assembly. Size. So it's not direct drive, it's a direct drive extruder. PLA, TPU, PTG, ABS, not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. It's flipping PTFE lined hot end. PLA, yeah. TPU, probably not. PETG should be able to, as long as it doesn't require too high temperatures. Yeah, ABS and nylon, no way. Small body integrated functions. I'm not seeing anywhere to get Marlin firmware from. Do they have Tronxy GitHub page? Nope. Firmwares. XY2, DA01, Ultrabot, others, laser. Come on, Tronxy. You gotta flipping share the firmware. It's not difficult. Come on. So no Marlin firmware, not good. It's open source, you have to share it. Dem's the rules. You want to use it, you have to share your version. Tool, manual, leveling, preheat, home. Oh wow, that's immediately being muted. Where do I mute it? System, status, no, info, mute. Beep every time it's an end stop. No, thank you. Tool, leveling. Please choose level mode. Manual is the only mode. After the movement, adjust the screw under the platform to make the distance between the extrusion and head the platform equal. So they've got the instructions written. Oh, this is heavy when the bed's at the back. The instructions are here, but the text is not wrapped properly. So you've just got half a word here, another half a word here. You've got half a word here, just the D and then the istance. And you've got the ext and the rusion and the platform. Come on. And this, oh no, is it working? Okay, it's going to work. Okay, the Z. I think we need to put in that other. I think these headers that I pulled out, I think they've not configured the firmware properly. It's expecting 2 Z motors, and because there's not 2 Z motors, it doesn't move the 1 Z motor. Yeah, it's not locked or anything, whereas this is locked. Oh, I mean, it's low torque. So this is not good. I think they've just not configured the firmware properly, which doesn't bode well for things like min temp and stuff like that. How easy is it going to be to now get under here? Have to take all these blooming things off again. Why would you have jumpers on a Z stepper motor? Absolutely mental bananas. Yeah, so for me here it's £170. US, it doesn't change, it still says £170. You think they've wired 2 Z motors in series? say what that is just generally cack all over, isn't it? Come on. Nice gloopy, yucky glue on them. My fault for taking them off, I suppose, but I suppose if this is the design and this is how it is, just don't fiddle with it and then it's fine. I mean, we don't, no, it's fine yet. I've not tried it. Strange. I've never had a jumper to stepper drivers to get them to work when you have two Zs. Right. What did I do with the power cable? I think it just fell off, didn't it? Do 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 do. Tool, manual, home. There we go. The Z works now. So you've got a Z adjustment here. Oh. What the hell happened there? I think this needs to come down quite a bit. So I'm just going to level it cold. Can level it hot. Probably a good idea too. I do like this, having preset leveling buttons. Feels a bit daft at first, but it's quite a good idea. Having to manually move the thing around is a bit annoying. I think we're probably a little bit too close. We'll just take it down a smidgen. Oh, I think I did it the wrong way. Another smidgen. There's no mesh leveling or anything on this, so you're going to have to do all the adjustments manually. Preheat. So there's no what the hell? Okay, the bed just seems to preheat in random jumps. This is 46, 50, 54. Okay, it goes up in fours. It says it goes up to 110. I'm not sure how optimistic that is. This is an awful way to set this. There must be... Okay, if you tap it once, it goes to 60 or 200. So this will, the nozzle will go up to 275. That's way too hot for a preheated, for a PTFE lined hot end, I mean. Okay. So here's a one I made earlier. So I sliced a benchy, and with their default profile, the estimated time was somewhere near to 2 hours for a standard benchy, which is incredibly slow. The acceleration was maybe like 120, not 120,000, 120. So I've increased the acceleration to 2,000 in the hope that it will manage. Excuse me. I do want to get that lovely... Did I download it? The Cali Dragon. How long is this going to be? It looks like it's not quick. Oh, it is quick. 29 minutes. Lovely jubbly. That's my kind of model. This is provided it can actually achieve what I've asked of it. So that's slowing down for cooling there. The default profile was also 3 walls, which is kind of weird. So you got an 8GB micro SD card. Looks like it's quite easy to get it in. You can't miss the slot too easy, so that's quite good. And you've got USB drive. Oh, so I guess you could. Let's see. You don't have to take it out of there. I think you can just bosh that in there. Print. Yes, that's good. So you've got filament. We need filament. Let's do this wicked one. So I have some gold and purple PLA from everyone. Not everyone. Excuse me. Not everyone. Everyone. I'm going to make that joke every single time, just so you know. So this is gold on one side and purple on the other. Is there a load filament button? There is. Come on. Why? That is not melting the filament very well. 200. Yeah, cold core. Okay. Let's just check. 210. Might go 215. Oh, it's a bit late now, isn't it? Because it's already on the SD card. Okay. So we've got our filament loaded up in the side. That's coming out. There's no sundries here, but the filament will literally just fall here naturally. So that's great. I didn't have to feed it into the... I mean, it's fine. There's a million ways to do it. I could have just done this, pushed it like this. This works. But it's not melting very well. That's my main concern. Print. Dragon. Go. Away! Try and move it away from me as much as I can, but it's not going to help much. Given that we're in a closed room. Are you going to start? It's preheating to 210. Here we go. Prime. That totally misses the bed. Oh dear. And it's just cold core extruding. That's when it comes out super fat and you can like pull it and it stretches out until the cold core is visible. I'd say they were right about the noise of the printing. Unfortunately, the noise of the fan that's in the basement there is astronomically loud. So it looks like my 2K acceleration was not unreasonable at the moment. Oh, I don't know why it paused there, that's not good. It's looking quite reasonable. The extrusion quantity looks accurate for now. The weighting is really odd. I don't know if that's a Cura thing, maybe it is. Does anyone else use Cura often and see that it pauses? Ah, yes, I think it's doing retract on layer change. I think you might be right there, that's correct. It's just such a huge retraction. Yeah, we'll stop retraction at layer change. I think this could be quite a good machine, given some upgrades, as always. The retraction distance is 6.5 millimeters. What? That's mental. Let's make it 2. How do I save? I don't understand, Kira. I've not used it. So in the printing menu, it's got an option for the second extruder. So we can do like Z micro stepping up and down thing. We can do speed adjust. We can do like fan adjustments. No idea what that. Oh, flow rate adjustment. %, speed. Given the size of the motor on here, which is an absolutely chunk-enormous NEMA 17, I think this printer could benefit from a performance. Oh! I'm back in a second. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this, probably, but here we go. No, maybe not that. Oh, let's get this too. No, let's do this. So, courtesy of E3D, I recently received this. Tiny little extruder. So this is the BQ E3D collaboration, the H2 V2S Revo. Look how much smaller it is. This could be a really good hot end for this printer. So much lighter. The extruder motor is bigger than the actual X-axis motor. That's absolutely mental. And of course this uses Revo, so you've got all those nozzles. I can put other nozzles and stuff in. It's got a nice well-constrained extrusion path. Yeah, so it comes with a fan. I don't think it comes with a duct, actually. Maybe the view that you get on screen doesn't really well demonstrate the difference in size and weight. So it comes with a fan. I've got a fan here. That goes on there. It's even got some little writing on it. It looks kind of the same size, but I promise you it's tiny in comparison. It's quite long this way, I guess. one of the things I do really like about this extruder, I've not actually used it yet, obviously I've just got it out of the box, but I have had a look at it. This lever has a really satisfying release latch mechanism. And it's NEMA 14, it's this tiny motor, it's not even NEMA 17 size. This here, from this whole label, that's all solid NEMA motor. This is like half the length and, well, it's only NEMA 14 instead of 17, so it's, I can't remember exactly what the dimensions are. It's a lot smaller and weighs a lot less. So probably want to find a way to mount this on there. Have to get a duct sorted. I don't know if it comes with any, I wonder if there's anyone's made one online. Yeah, it looks like, so I've just found this thing on printables. Modular air duct for the BQ H2, V2S, Revo, Revo extruder. Looks reasonably good, sensible, quite large, but whoop. Put some huge fans on it. This is all based on Ever, clearly. It looks like it is anyway. Where do you keep all your models you print in live streams testing printers? I don't keep them anywhere. I'm not organised with my models collection, if you like. I've tried in the past and everything just ends up all over the place. The ones that I've designed myself, obviously I've got in Fusion 360 or whatever, and I generally re-export them each time I need them. Apart from probably Cauliflower, because that's like in a directory for keeping version numbering and stuff for uploading, so there's consistent numbers there. But most of them I just export as I need or go to the page where I downloaded them and download them again. I just try to remember the names of the things that I've downloaded, or they're just already as models around from previous prints and they just stick around. Oh, the physical prints. They often go in the bin. The bigger models I tend to keep around as like display models or stuff. Sometimes I give them away. The smaller ones normally end up in the bin. I don't have anything to do with them. I can't just keep them. I just end up with infinite stocks of plastic models that all look the same. I don't know what else I could do with them, really. I'm actually quite liking the outcome, doesn't look too bad. It is reasonably quiet. I don't know if the... Oh, sorry, that's probably made a loud noise. If that fan is so extreme to try and cool the power supply over the other side of the case as well, or something weird like that, I don't know. Yeah, it is, when it stops, it is doing retraction, but it's obviously got to retract and then extrude back to the original position, which takes a long time when you're retracting 6.5 millimeters. I'm keen to see how easy this lot is to remove. That motor is stone cold, which means the torque settings are really low as well. I think you could probably tune this printer quite a bit. It might have some decent performance in it, you know. 24 volts, TMC 2209s, reasonably lightweight X carriage, Y carriage rather. The bed's it's not that thick. But this monstrosity has probably got to go. Be quite fun to put clipper on a little machine like this, wouldn't it? Ah, I didn't need more projects, and now it's making itself into a project. So the rails here and on the bed are the same thing. Just spin it around. I did show them earlier in the stream, but if you weren't here, you obviously won't have seen that. This is what it looks like. I get all the printing fumes in that direction. So they're steel rollers. So they're going to be way more durable than V-slot wheels. Normally they would be more noisy, I think, but they're actually quite quiet. Metal on metal is normally pretty noisy, but this doesn't seem too bad. Oh, should we do more promotion? Go buy vertical linear motion press. Woo! This one's got a PTG clamp, so ignore this bit. This should be ABS. I just needed to put something on it, and I already was testing with 0.3 layer heights. You can get it as a kit, or if you just want the STLs, so you can buy the parts, like make it all yourself. There's STL kits, STL digital download is available as well. All the noise, I think, fan noise you can hear is from this shit in the basement. That one fan, do you remember the one that's sitting over the top of the electronics? That I said should be quite quiet because it's quite a large fan? Well, turns out it's not. Ooh. Oh, it could be on like the underside here. It's a bit long, but there's not much space because the way this uses V-slot, and it's obviously those V-slot wheels use that entire side, the other V-slot uses this entire side, and I've mounted the plate nice and close so there's not loads of extra space. There's not much extra room on this design. A 120mm Noctua. Just a whopping great big fan. I wish there were 24-volt Noctua. I don't think there are. They got the little ones. The NFA12, NFF12s. Ooh, they do have a... That made a weird noise. Looks like the NFF12 Industrial has a 24-volt version. £30 though. 30 quid for a single fan. I'm sure it is a very good fan, but it's not something I think I want to put on a £180 printer. Yeah, and we got daylight RGBs, daybreak RGBs rather. If you've not seen it already, I did a big guide on installing RGB lights or white lights for addressable RGBs and all the kind of different fans, lights that you could want. I made a big guide for Clipper. So if you need some help installing or suggestions or how to use different types of LEDs and how to do like addressable stuff and print progress and temperatures all on your RGB lights, you can check that out there. It's a pretty wicked guide. The Delta fans are expensive as well. Chat is horribly long wait. You sure it's not this me missing? Stream latency says should be on ultra low. In Q4 2022, Noctua plan to release 24 volt to 12 volt converter, and they plan to release 40mm 24 volt. They already have 24 volt 40mm, I think. Oh, I put it on slow mode and I might have gone a little bit overboard. There you go, 10 seconds now. I just didn't want to get those bots being bots again that come in and just spam shit. How long have we been streaming for? That was a rhetorical question, by the way. I'm not asking you to work it out. I just lose track of time. You'll see the print quality in a second. It's looking quite good though. Not perfect, but quite good. I just realised I've got 2 spare screws here. What are these supposed to be for? $5 for that bit. That's the same 5. 2 for the handle. $2 for the spool holder. This is actually quite a comprehensive manual. I'd say for newcomers it's pretty good. It does seem okay. I'm not going to provide too much in the way of opinions. I'm annoyed that they've not included Marlin firmware. It's not good enough. It's not difficult to do. Any idiot can just get their firmware that they've compiled and stick it on a flipping web page to download, and they've just not bothered. The hot end design is pretty naff. The settings, the pre-mode profile settings are absolutely shocking. I mean, the suggested was 120 millimeters per second squared acceleration. I mean, this was... No, never do that. Why did it do that? You don't go down after a print. That's absolutely crazy bananas. You're just going to smash into the print. Anyway, so that's a really good first layer. I mean, we've done 0.3 layers and it's a very small model, so could definitely benefit from 0.2 layer height. Overhangs at the top of the, whatever they are, antlers. A bit of a cooling issue. Yeah, the steep overhangs are not great. But overall, let's give you a nice close look. Bear in mind, this is the size of a finger. It's quite a small model. It's wobbling a lot. I'd say it's pretty good, isn't it? D&D miniatures is probably not a bad shout. I think for miniatures you almost certainly want tiny nozzle. 0.4 nozzle is probably really too fat. It is a massive shame about that 24-volt fan being an absolute hog for fan noise. It's the kind of thing that maybe some improved firmware, I think it's probably just running at 100%. And if we can use a MOSFET to use PWM, software PWM, whatever, bring it down to like 50%, probably still enough to cool the stepper drivers. If only they'd actually supplied the ruddy firmware. I'm going to have another look on this transflash card, micro SD card, before I get super annoyed, but I'm pretty sure it was not there. Does it have thermal runaway? This is a good question. So we do some other testing. So in the folder, we've got USB drive, a zipped thing. I think it's Windows drivers. Yeah. You've got a contact us, which is a QR code, and I say port email and a text file. Sure, why not? Cura slicing software, so a URL to Cura's website, and an exe for Cura 4.13.1. Instructions, which is just the same PDF manual. The test models, which is 5 G codes. Videos, and the Cura profile. This says a retraction amount 8mm. Holy bananas. Yeah, the print profile's pretty pants, let's be honest. See you, Ricky. I forget exactly how to test thermal runaway, so what we're going to do is unplug the thermistor. That's how we do it. So let's turn this off for now. That power cable over. Oh, it's not quite long enough to come over the top. Oof. To be honest, if the currents are running really low, which it seems that they are, you won't even be able to run this thing without the fan at all. Although the heat sinks are pretty weedy. So, got to be very careful here because we now have exposed mains. So, we have nothing. We remove the thermostat. You're shitting me. So they've not implemented min temp. Max temp they have. But min temp they haven't, which is not good. Or they've just set it stupidly cold, because this is reading -15. Now we unplug the heater and attempt to preheat. To 200. And what we should get after maybe 15 or 30 seconds, maybe not even that long, is it will realize it can't find any sensible temperature, or it's not responding to the heater because the heater is not plugged in, and it should just go but there's nothing yet. Heating failed, system stop. Okay, so it's got thermal runaway and it's got max temp, but it's not got min temp. Is it just going to let me keep? It's reset temperature. Could it be better? Yes. They really need to publish Marlin, and min temp should be active. But the first print was reasonably good. I'm pretty sure the beds, you can't, when you do thermal runaway, min temp, max temp, I'm pretty sure you implement them basically the same time. I don't think you can enable thermal runaway for the hot end and not for the bed in Marlin. Thermal runaway, I think you just turn it on or turn it off for both. So it's Marlin version 2.16.6. But they've not published it. Come on, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. Maybe they've not done it because they know that there's no min temp, or they're worried about sharing firmware that's not configured correctly. It was kind of dumb, the fact that the zero was not on the bed, so the prime line was just off the edge. There's definitely lots of improvements that you could make to this. The other thing I want to look at is how easy this lot is to remove. So to see how easy it would be to put a different hot-ended extruder on. Because I don't like this hot end. It's, well, they massively overpromise what it can actually do. There's no way you're doing TPU or ABS or nylon on this printer. So we've got 24 volt 5015 fan. This is a big chunky metal bracket. Whoopsie daisy. Why can't I get there? This is weird. How is this doing? Is it just these brackets at the back? Oh, the tube's... This tube's not really long enough for this. It should probably be a little bit longer. Hey, so I didn't even need to take off the fans. There's just 3 screws, I think. Is this one going to be the last one? Yeah, and that just takes that whole plate off. So that could be a whole thing. That would be on there, on there, on there, on there. 3 screws at the edges. That leaves you with that carriage. You can basically do what you want with that. Let's get the... just going to grab some scales so we can check the weight difference between these 2 extrusion systems. I mean, it's literally 3 screws. I didn't need to remove either of those fans. I thought normally you had to like disassemble the whole thing and go in through the back, but this is just 3 screws around the side and this whole thing comes off. This looks like some sort of method for adjusting this as well. So grams, this whole lot, 447 grams. Nearly half a kilo. This, 177. Obviously we need to add a fan. Makes it around 200. Let's just say this fan as well, even though it's way too big. 230. So basically half the weight. That's how much smaller this is. Just need to find a way to mount this on here. I mean, a 3D printed bracket that goes on there. A couple of holes in it for that. So easy. Whack a duct on. We can use these fans, hopefully. There's no weird dodgy wiring going on here. Let's extract the fans from this. And that's a bit trapped in there. Yeah, you've got, presumably that motor cable would probably work just fine. You might have to change the pin out depending on stuff and things, but by and large that'll work. You could just replace it, I mean it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it looks like both of those fans would probably do you. That's definitely a good combo, I think. Oh, apart from there was no retraction on the NG code, so now I have to preheat this to get the bloody filament out. Probably. No, we managed it. Maybe there was a bit of retraction. So yeah, that would probably be a thing that I would do. You want to know the noise while printing without the board fan. The board fan. Would have been great if you asked before I ripped all of this off. For the sake of science, I shall reassemble it. I wonder if there would be a market for selling 3D printers that don't have extruders and hot ends. Why have Chinese companies not done that yet? Why has nobody done that yet? Stop them designing this stuff, which they don't do particularly well. Do this bit, which is like most of the printer, and leave this bit to E3D or, you know, other specialist hot end designer, manufacturer, extruder, system people. A bare bones kit. I don't know which part of these 3D printers they make their money off of. Maybe these hot end parts are, I don't know. Well, Voron don't sell anything. RatRig do sell everything as a DIY kit. They are probably the closest. You're right, RatRig. I wouldn't necessarily consider this like a quick change system or anything. And I don't think it will index particularly well. So each time you remove this carriage, you probably would want to redo your bed leveling kind of stuff, because the position will be probably a little bit different. For the sake of ease, I might just, can we just sit this on this? It's not the safest option in the world, but for science and all that. Good bed probe. I've had pretty good experience with super pinders and close variants thereof. Oops. Kelly Dragon. They won't work on your bed because the magnets are too strong. Huh? I wasn't aware of magnets affecting inductive probes. I guess BL Touch is your only option then? Or clicky? It does sound like Space Invaders, doesn't it? Do 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 do. So, at risk of damaging the stepper drivers due to not having any cooling, this is now a test to see what the noise levels are like. The bed is currently doing the heating. Feeler gauge. Why would you have such a strong magnet that disrupts an inductive probe? Are you absolutely sure it's that? If the magnet is so strong, it's not good, is it? The part of doing design well and engineering a product is that it works with the rest of the system, not just on its own. I can't believe just all sensors don't work because of the magnet. That doesn't make any sense. Well, maybe it does, but I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Here we go. This is a bit weird as a system, but it does work. This is a bit weird where it extrudes the prime line off the edge of the bed. But that's just a G-code improvement, and it wouldn't be hard to do. And it's quite nice. Oh, yeah, I didn't readjust the level like I said you should. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's making horrible noise. Oh, this is the worst noise. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, this is pretty quiet like this, so I think, I mean, I don't know what sort of PWM and whatnot these fans are doing. And I still want a better hot end extruder system on it. I think something like this would be a good option. It's nice and light, and that's what's going to determine your accelerations and everything. Yeah, this is looking naff now because the first layer offset was so bad. Oh, it's gone from great to terrible just on the basis that I didn't re-level it. Okay, I'm stopping it there because it should be re-leveled when you remove the thing from the thing. This is just a horrible mess. And I've squeezed the nozzle right into the bed. Yes. So I think the deal now is, I think that's going to be the end of the video. Zombie Hedgehog's just got here. Sorry, Zombie Hedgehog. You have to rewind this one. So this video is probably going to go private now. I'm going to email Tronxy and tell them that the video will remain private until they release their firmware open source like they should do for Marlin. Other than that, it seems reasonably good. It's a shame they've not enabled min temp. That's a big downside. The hot end performance is not great, but the first print looked optimistic. There's definitely loads of optimization you could do with the G code. That was not great. The acceleration settings by default are not great. I assume the firmware calibration, the firmware settings are probably not very good, which is maybe why they've not published those either. But that being said, the unchangeable things, or the difficult to change things, are not too bad at all. The motion system seems reasonably sound. It seems reasonably sturdy. You've got belt tensioning, a decent PI flexible sheet. You've got a filament sensor, which is useful to have, even though they're quite easy to add anyway. And it's a nice, decent steel frame. What more is there to say? What more could you want? I'd probably recommend getting a different fan in the base. You don't want to be running it without a fan because stepper drivers do get warm. But yeah, that's going to be it, I think, from me today then. Yeah, the video will go private for a bit, but hopefully you'll see it again soon. And I'll try and get a link in the description so you can find out where to buy one if you want to. So yeah, thank you very much. 2 hours. Ciao, everyone. See you next time.